Welcome to Isis in the Bible, the Spring Gathering, Week 3, Medusa. The question for today is, what's your thoughts on mythology, specifically Medusa? Do you know the story? Well, it's more than a story. So glad you could join us today. We did go around the room and we did get quite a bit of responses, a lot of similarities and a couple of unique things. So I'm probably going to add those in as I speak because I'm being educated while I'm listening. And one I just that sticks to my mind right now is mythology. When Alfredo said mythology as mythology, it is. It's your story. It's something that we need to learn from individually. Thanks for joining us today. So what's happening in the sky? Well, the full moon that we're upon tomorrow, Wednesday, May 23rd, around 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. What's really important to note that Lilith will be exactly aligned the moon. So that full moon, okay? So this is the exact alignment of the full moon. Lilith is in retrograde in Scorpio. This is not coincidence that the temptation lady versus gifts. So when we resist material temptations, then we get gifts of abundance from Mother Nature, not money, but Mother Nature, because that's all we need is abundance of love. So Lilith is in retrograde in Scorpio, which is procreation, materialism, sexuality, and that's a tempting thing. So this whole temptation, and we're going to talk about Medusa because Lilith is Medusa. Lilith is Sekhmet on the Egyptian walls, the cat. So cats, Lilith, Medusa, they're all the same. They're one. So the sun is right across Taurus for the full moon. So the sun is in Taurus, which is the earthen mother, which is Mary Magdalene, the one that sleeps with Jesus. Taurus is across from Scorpio for that full moon tomorrow. And you also notice that Pallas is in retrograde. Pallas is communities, also in Scorpio. So that's what's happening in the sky. The second thing that's happening, which is totally related, is this synchronicity, Mother Nature, Venus, and Jupiter, spiritual law, the expansion of spiritual law, is in Taurus, the earthen mother's home, i.e. Mary Magdalene's home, the one that sleeps around. So Medusa can be kind of related to that story as well, right? Because when we come to the earth plane, we have the ability to do things, and sexuality is one of them, and temptations. So the story is pretty fitting on all that's aligned there. I did also want to mention for those who have Hygeia sensitivity in their chart, Mars is going to align with Hygeia on the 25th. So if you're feeling a cleanse, no, it's a wave. And of course, these can also invigorate you because when your muddy waters become crystal clear, you can feel invigoration. And we remember that Hygeia, which is in mythology, she is the goddess of cleanses, right? She's the cleansing one, which does the complete Kundalini. This is the glyph of the medical caduceus. There's a reason why they hold the medical caduceus in the medical industry is because of mythology, in which is a fact that when Hygeia's got you, she's going to vibrate you, and it can be in a really good way once our waters are purified. Okay, so let's do a little more of what's happening in the sky with Catherine, aka Kate Middleton. She's a patroness who helps over 20 charitable organizations in the categories of children, the elderly, art, sports, and conservation. She goes by other names, and I'm not going to talk about it because we're all the same. We can't put anybody up on pedestals. We're all brothers and sisters, and God bless her for what she's doing. So Sister Kate Middleton was the subject of rumors and speculation about her whereabouts after being out in public. She was last seen publicly on Christmas Day at Sandringham. Her absence led to widespread speculation, but it was revealed that she had undergone abdominal surgery and was recovering during this time. So reports confirmed that she had not gone missing, but was taking time off her health. She eventually reappeared in public, breaking her silence on St. Patrick's Day, and sharing updates through official channels to dispel the rumors and her so-called disappearance. She underwent planned abdominal surgery on January the 16th. She remained in the hospital for about 2 weeks. It was discovered that she had a cancerous condition. So somebody said, somebody killed her. She's gone missing. It's like, so when I asked AI told me, and then I found this out. And then so I did her chart. Because if somebody's going to not tell the truth, you could just look at their chart. You can look at mythology, because you can look to see at these beautiful luminaries, which are essences. They're the essence of you and how to keep your waters purified. So she was, get this, how synchronistic. She was born on a full moon. This is number one here, right? So she was born on a full moon in eclipse position. So when we pass out, even for surgeries, that will be at play. And just note that her wings is on the vertex, Destiny's Gate. We'll talk about that in a second. So her abdominal surgery, and also had cancer, and the concern to leave the visible is shown. So here's on that day when she had her surgery, there is Ceres aligned Venus, Mother Nature, right? And then also on that day, Saturn was aligned, Hygeia for everyone, but it was in an exact alignment, in conjunction alignment with her. Cancer is the abdomen. You can see Hygeia is in retrograde. In Cancer, her abdomen surgery. And Cancer also stands for cancer, right? When we get magnets that stick together that we call cancer, which is cells sticking together. So it's very obvious in her chart that this was happening. What should she be concerned with? Well, let's look at her wings, because her wings, Icarus was transiting her Lilith that day. Another synchronicity. I didn't even realize that. Putting these together, it was just something that somebody mentioned to me synchronistically, obviously, because she said, you need to do Kate Middleton's chart because I think she was killed. No, she wasn't. But look at, on that day, her wings, what is she doing with her wings? Temptations, and it was transiting Venus, Mother Nature, and Mercury. And so that's how you read these. That's how it goes. So also, on a day of her surgery, the moon was aligned Neptune. So I don't know the exact timing of that, but the moon would have been around Neptune, and that's pain, and that's energies. And that's in the 8th house, which is Scorpio. Again, temptations. And oh, by the way, she's allergic to horses. Can we find that in her chart? Well, we sure can. In Sagittarius here, which is horses, all right, she has the South Node, the Sun, is an eclipse position, right? And then also her wings and her Destiny's Gate. So there's something there that she needs to understand on why she's allergic to horses. Because that would have to be with spiritual law. Is she doing her spiritual law? Is she doing it properly? Where she's at in the media, is it all about love? Well, I'll leave that for you guys to decide. And then Marion asked, hey, it would be cool if we did Bob Marley's chart. Using the words of Wikipedia, Robert Nesta Marley, aka Bob Marley, was a Jamaican reggae singer, guitarist, and songwriter, considered one of the pioneers of the genre. Marley fused elements of reggae, ska and rock steady in his music and was renowned for his distinctive vocal and songwriting style. Ska is the music genre that originated, I've never heard of ska, that's why I put this in here, that originated in Jamaica in the late 1950s, combining elements of Caribbean mento and calypso with American jazz and rhythm and blues, characterized by a walking bass line, offbeat rhythms, and often brass instrument accompaniments. So let's start off by looking at his wings. Why was he so special in front of everybody's eyes? Well, look at, he's got Mars and Icarus, his wings. When you have that, when you got your wings like this, and it's exactly on the cusp between Sagittarius and Capricorn, an energetic cusp, which is the Milky Way. So yeah, he's going to vibrate a whole lot of people because the Milky Way is really us in the star form, right? That's where we all congregate. So, and remember, fiery Mars aligned Icarus, the boy who burned his wings right on the cusp of Sag and Capricorn on the Milky Way. Well, he left the visible quite early, right? He was only 36 when he left the visible. He also had Venus, Mother Nature, aligned Mary, the Mother of God, the Virgin Mary. So why did he leave the visible so soon? Well, on the day that he left the visible, Mercury was in an exact alignment with Ceres. So that's when you leave the visible, right? What else do we see? Oh, Hygeia with Pallas. So there's a lot of people are going to be losing him, right? Because Pallas is communities, Hygeia is cleanses. Saturn exactly aligned with Chiron, the wounded healer. Vest of the Vestal Virgins with the moon. So we can put 1 and 1, 2 together. But he did pass from a rare skin disease, a rare skin cancer. And where was Ceres? In Libra. And Libra is the skin. Right? So it's all there. So the truth is all there. So this mythology of astrology is a reality. So that's why we want to talk about Lilith in this full moon, because it's important for everybody to understand. A quick little realization that I had the other night, because 2 nights ago on May the 20th, we had a lightning storm. It was beautiful. So I went and looked, and Neptune was right on the bottom of the chart, which represents the north, which represents the point in the middle, which represents dielectric discharge for those of you that are studying physics and metaphysics, because this represents the bottom of the chart. The bottom of the chart is here because this moves back and forth. The bottom of the chart is here, which is at the 303369. And if you know the secret to the universe, and then it dawned on me, well, the 3 is the trident. Get it? So there's your 369. The 3 is the trident. The 6 and the 9 is both sides of the magnetic field, and as the magnetic field decreases, you get dielectric discharge. So I just thought I'd share that for those of you looking into that. That was pretty cool. All right. So it is written that people will leave the visible. It's part of Exodus. There are so many theories on this happening. People all around the world. People are sharing not good truths about what's happening because we are the only ones that can take us out. When I say us, I'm the only one that can take me out. If it's my time to go, Sarah's will be there, and that's my choice whether I want to leave or not. Everything else is an illusion. So they're making up their own stories of mythology, which is not the truth. So like the animals seeking shelter from a tsunami, more so now while we're finalizing our transition into Aquarius, the new change is upon us, where the most important thing to do is realize that you are the one that makes waves, and the revelation of asking for forgiveness is the key to infinite abundant sea of love. You are the pebble thrower. You are infinite, but the pure physics of our journey demands us to be pure, and now to a whole new level. And that's what this Lilith moon represents, full moon. So the story of Medusa is the reality of Lilith energy, rather the essences we've left behind to show us the road to nirvana, to that pureness. The full moon with Lilith in retrograde in Scorpio, with the sun in Taurus, the home of Mary Magdalene. In Greek mythology, Medusa is one of the 3 Gorgons. Respect the fierceness of the woman is the message. This is my take on it now. Using astrology and what we've learned in my own experiences and reading people's charts, this has got to be the truth to me. But unlike her sisters, she was mortal. Okay, Medusa was originally a beautiful woman with luscious hair. She tempted Poseidon, the god of the sea, and they had an encounter in Athena's temple. Well, what's the temple? The temple is our mind. The temple is our thoughts. What is meant here is a sexual temptation in the mind, the temple. That's why I got eyes up here, big guy, right? Have you ever seen a woman tell a man, hey, eyes up here? Where are your eyes looking? Why aren't you looking me in the eye? Get it? She turns you to stone when you're looking somewhere else, when you're thinking something differently. And somebody mentioned it here. When you're thinking about sexuality and temptations, had nothing to do with looking in her eyes. No, you got to look in her eyes and don't look anywhere else. And not just with the eyes, but the third eye, the images we keep when we look at a woman. Is that a sexual temptation thought? That's what we got to be careful of, because that is what turns us to stone. Because we have two snakes in our kundalini, the yin and the yang. So when you pull the spiritual snake, all that remains is the material, physical snake. So that's what the story of the snakes is. That's why she's got so many snakes on her head, right? So Athena transformed Medusa into a monster with snakes for hair and a gaze that could turn anyone who looked at her in a sexual way turned into stone. Medusa lives in isolation, waiting to test those by law of attraction. That's why you'll see a woman or a guy all of a sudden being totally okay, but then they resort to an act that is not good. Law of attraction tests us, so we have to persist. Persist. The hero Perseus was later tasked with resisting the temptations of Medusa. With the help of the gifts from the gods, including a reflective shield from Athena, winged sandals from Hermes, winged sandals, that's your ability to override your karmic waves, your wings. Hermes is Mercury, your past waves. And a sword from Hephaestus, whatever that is. Perseus managed to approach Medusa without looking directly at her. He stared into the shields of her eyes. Because you understand the shield is your eye, not another shield, because when you look at someone's eyes, there is a firmament there. There is the top of the chart, right? There's the top of the world. So he stared into the shields of her eyes and avoided looking at her sexually and being turned into stone. Perseus was successful. Pegasus, the winged horse, carried them both off into the heavens, wielding the Chrysaor, the golden sword of truth. So that's the way I spun it, based on all the inputs that I got from you all and what I've learned from astrology. We really do have to understand that these stories were written for us to remind us of what to do and what not to do. So the beautiful, 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 beautiful woman is cursed if man keeps trying to not look her in the eyes. She doesn't want to have that happen to her. Here's the ticket. When you look at a sine wave, there's the masculine and there's a feminine. So do we take turns every life changing from man to woman, woman to man? So we have to be careful, because what we sow is what we reap. So we got to stay pure as much as possible, especially now that we're on that energetic cusp. So look, it's all about purity. We know Leonardo da Vinci was an enlightened being, yet he should have been called Buddha, Christ, Horus, Arahant, but due to our ignorance, we did not understand him, hence why he had to leave all his messages in the bottle in his artwork. And Hudak said, you need to read this book, Another Synchronicity, The Way of the Psychonaut. And in there it speaks about Leonardo's childhood experience was a vulture. He pointed out that ancient Egyptians believed that there were only female vultures and that they were inseminated by the wind while flying. This belief was used in the Christian church fathers as an argument for the possibility of immaculate conception. Well, we know immaculate conceptions are real. So we can bear a child without the physical act. Think on that one long and hard. So in his painting, you can't see the vulture, but I can now very clearly. When you look at the blue, right? Because this would be Virgin Mary, and this would be Mary Magdalene. She's wearing red. She's red-shifted, but this blue cape is part of the virginness. And when you look here, he's got the vulture in there. The vulture on the Egyptian walls, they're showing you the as above, the spirit, the vulture, and the so below, the eagle, the cobra. Because we have to master the snake, our vibrations, our temptations. And the vulture is the one that sees, and the Immaculate Conception above. There's a reason why we have this mythology on the Egyptian walls, so we can remember. So Lilith's reminder of Medusa is us running for the hills of our heart. So we got to run towards the hills of our heart, from our head space down to our heart space. That's what's upon us right now. So please do this with me today, and I promise there will be change in our lives. And then I will share yet another success story by doing this. So you've seen me talk about this before, the 5-step process for forgiveness. We need to do this to everyone that did something to us that was not loving. Forgive me for not being the loving man or woman I should have always been. I thank you for your guidance. If your guidance was not loving, I forgive you so that your waters are purified. I love you. I imagine now only these images. We are now always in balance, harmony, peace, tranquility, and one love. So if you do this to everybody you see, you're clearing your karmic waters. So I did this with a sister who said to me, man, our landlord, he's not sober and he's not happy. So she tried it. I said, well, because he's in your life and you're witnessing it, it's still yours to help. So do a test, will you? Can you do that 5-step process with him in mind when you go to sleep tonight? You don't have to talk to him. Well, guess what? The next day, one of her friends that live in the apartment building with her said, what happened to the landlord? He's a totally different guy today. So she had to go look for herself, brought the check with her for the rent. She handed it to him and he's in a great mood. He ripped it up in front of her. And she did this 5-step process. So we can help others, help ourselves. Because remember, if you're witnessing it, it's in your Akashic records. If it's not happening to you, it's still something that happened long ago, and it's still showing itself to you. But we're all one. So we have to help each other, because the one won't become love until we all do it. And so that's where we're at. Do it. I promise you. It'll work. It does work. Many people are doing this process, but the ego won't want to do it. Well, they did it to me. I could never have done that. So somebody shared a story this morning that something happened to one of our friends. He's got to do this process, even though somebody else did it to him. He's got to do this process. It is the ripples in the pond. We are the pebble thrower. The waves come back to find us, and we have to ask for forgiveness. It's imperative. And that's all we have for today.